And we start here. Smoke and flames have been seen on Gaza's skyline as a result of Israeli strikes on Gaza City. Health officials in Hamas-controlled Gaza say more than 9,000 Palestinians have been killed in the war, which began when Hamas launched a surprise attack on southern Israel a month ago, killing more than 1,000 people and taking more than 240 hostages. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken repeated U.S. concerns that a ceasefire could aid Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ruled it out unless hostages held by Hamas were released. For more on the Israeli overnight shelling, we are joined by SABC News Correspondent in Beirut, Lebanon, Mia Alberti. Mia, it is staggering at this point, just the number of people that have been killed in the past few weeks in Gaza alone. And we know that heavy bombardment by Israeli directed to Gaza still continuing. I mean, how do you scale the impact at this stage, Mia?
I mean, if we look at what the Palestinian papers are calling it today, it's easy to understand what is happening in Gaza. I mean, we're seeing papers saying that there are no words to describe the war and the genocide happening in Gaza. Another newspaper call it rings of fire and hysterical bombardment on Gaza, and yet another one says that Gaza is being annihilated. Now, we know that Israeli forces have launched another campaign against Gaza overnight between Sunday and Monday. However, we don't know that many details yet about what happened, what are the consequences of that bombardment, but that we could see from live agency pictures. We could see the constant bombardment of the Gaza Strip, which was completely in the dark. We don't know that much yet because Israel has, again, for the third time cut communications to the Gaza Strip. But according to the Palestinian news agency, in these bombardments, at least 45 people were killed after Israel struck a house in central Gaza, not in the north. And also Israel struck the south of Gaza next to the Rafah crossing, killing at least 6 people. And we do know that the operation overnight was from air, land and the sea as well. So a very violent night for Palestinians, and we are still waiting to know what really happened, what are the consequences. We do know that the health minister in Gaza has said that the situation for hospitals is catastrophic. So this is just giving us an idea. As you mentioned, we have almost 10,000 people killed in Gaza, and as communications start to come back up this morning in Gaza, we will know that there will be more casualties, certainly.
And it's interesting because what you talk about obviously is that communication cutoff, and we're getting closer now to almost 10,000 people having lost their lives in Gaza. So how then are you able to get information on that death toll and the numbers that are coming in, considering when you've got that communication breakdown that is such a big issue at the moment?
Absolutely. I mean, the main channels that we are getting our information are through relief agencies, humanitarian agencies, including the United Nations, from Palestinian, the news agency, like I said, WAFA, from our colleagues, our journalist colleagues that are on the ground in Gaza that have been reporting this. But of course, as I said, as communications come back up, we will continue to get more information, more details, including from these organizations who continue to send information, but themselves say that they have been having issues contacting their team on the ground.
Yeah, and you talk about relief organizations or relief agencies. Let's talk about what that's looking like with relief coming into Gaza. I believe the World Food Programme saying that relief coming in is simply not enough for the great and desperate need.
Absolutely. I mean, we know that the Rafah crossing, that crossing between Egypt and Gaza, was closed for a long time. Then it was open around October 21st or 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. And at the first instance, we saw 20 trucks of food and medicine and water going into Gaza. But and now, although that has increased a little bit, I think up to 100. I mean, just so we have an idea of the scale, before the conflict, 500 trucks were going into Gaza. So 100 is just a fifth of what was going into Gaza. We We have not seen any fuel going into Gaza, as Israel fears that could aid Hamas. But that is very important to keep, electricity running, hospitals running. This is why we're seeing this catastrophic situation happening in hospitals, according to the health minister. And I talked to a representative of Save the Children just the other day, who said that the aid going into Gaza, it just corresponds to 2 bottles of water per person per day, which is clearly not enough, especially at the time where people are going through these unimaginable circumstances.
Yeah, can we go through a little bit of the details around what leadership is saying now? And I'm talking about, obviously, Prime Minister of Israel, the Palestinian President Abbas, who has called for that immediate ceasefire, and the impact of even the visit by US's Antony Blinken.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are seeing U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken going around the region. On Saturday, he met with leaders from several Arab nations, including Jordan, Lebanon, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken. And he has met with the Iraqi Prime Minister. And on Monday, he is going to meet with Turkish officials as well in this effort, according to the U.S. Secretary of State, to try and stem the violence and allow for more humanitarian aid to go in. However, we are seeing a huge gap in understanding between the US and Israel, if you may, and the Arab states. They do agree that, for example, it is important to keep the two-state solution on the table. It is important, and even the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, after meeting with Blinken, said that they would be open to regain control of Gaza, which is controlled by Hamas. So there is an understanding that what is happening in Gaza at the moment cannot continue, that the Hamas control of Gaza is not beneficial for Palestine, but then when it comes to the first step in this long process of peace, which is a ceasefire, this is where we are seeing the US and Israel and the Arab states completely on opposite positions, with the US and Israel saying that a ceasefire or humanitarian pause would would aid Hamas, would allow Hamas to regroup, to re-attack. But then Arab states are saying that what Israel is doing in Gaza is a genocide, is a massacre against the Palestinians, and have to stop immediately. So we're seeing at this basic point a very deep disagreement, and at least here in the Arab region, it is considered that until Israel does change their minds to agree to a ceasefire, then the conflict will continue from Gaza.
And I need to squeeze just one last in here, because you're getting reports now of an Israeli minister who hinted at the use of a nuclear bomb being suspended. I mean, what are Arab countries now saying, even if, he is talking about the suspension of a nuclear bomb being used, but certainly the fact that we're starting to use the word nuclear in this war?
I mean, this was received with a lot of anger from the Palestinians, who say that this is not only from the Palestinians, from Arab states as well, who say that this just represents what Israel's attitude towards the Palestinian people is. We have heard even from inside of Netanyahu's office after this happened, this Minister of Heritage, who said that in a radio interview, was suspended. But then we heard for example, from Saudi Arabia, saying that Israel's refusal to fire him directly just shows, and I'm quoting, the extent extremism and brutality penetrated by the Israeli government, and just reflects the Israeli government's disregard for all values of humanity, morality, religion, and law. From the Arab League, the chief also said that Israel, that this just shows that, does this show that Israel have nuclear weapons, which is something that has not really been revealed yet. But it seems like it was, according to the minister who said this, he was saying being metaphoric. We also heard from Jordan saying that these comments were a call for genocide and a hate crime. And we also heard in a statement from Palestinian Authority Foreign Ministry saying that the comments are an honest declaration and clear acknowledgement of what the occupying state, of what Israel is doing against our people, particularly in Gaza.
I know I did say that was the last one, but I want to bring one more in, and we talk about Arab nations and the messages that you have talked about as well, coming from the various various countries. What is their position now on what Palestinians should be doing? Do they leave Gaza? Where do they go? I mean, is the narrative still that they hold steady and stay and stay in their land?
Look, this is a complex issue, even for Palestinians and for the Arab world, because although that the Palestinian Authority and the rest of the Arab world agrees that Palestinians are being completely massacred, they use the word genocide. They also agree that pushing Palestinians into Egypt, for example, through the Rafah crossing, is not a solution, because then Palestinians would be abandoning their law. Just to give you an example, here in Lebanon, we have hundreds of thousands of Palestinians left Israel into Lebanon in 1948 with the declaration of the Israeli state. And if you talk to, and I have talked to many of these Nakba survivors, saying that if they knew what they know now, that they would never have left their houses, that they thought that they were going to live for a month, for 2 months, until the war had finished, and then they would return to their houses. And the fact is that many people left Israel, left Palestine at the time with their house keys. So they were hoping to return. The people, the Palestinian people, who these new generations know that, they know this example, and they know that if they leave Palestine, they will never be able to return. So this is their position. They do not want to leave their land. They agree, and they are saying that they have the right to live in their territory, in their land, safely without the aggression of Israel.
Yeah, a very complex issue nonetheless. Mia, thank you so much for your time. We really, really do appreciate it. Mia Alberti there is SABC News Correspondent in Beirut, Lebanon.